Very good evening to all the participants. My name is Dr. Vignesh. I'm part of the National Digital Library of India team, and we are one of the co-organizers of this 25th year Silver Jubilee year celebration of P.N. Panikkar National Reading and Digital Reading Month celebrations, along with the Niti Aayog, the Ministry of Education, and Central Board of School Education also. So this is the second webinar in the series of webinars we have been organizing during this year's celebration. And today's topic is changing pattern of reading in digital environment. And we have very renowned speaker. And last year also, Dr. K. Jayakumar was here with us, and he was sharing with us the evolution of Reading Month celebration with us in the previous year. And we were very glad to have you again with us for today's session, sir. And now I request Balagopalji to kindly introduce our resource person and uh, start this session also. Over to Balagopalji.
Thank you, Dr. Vignesh. Today, as Dr. Vignesh said correctly, is a note, what do you call it, scholar of Kerala. Not only Kerala, he was a secretary, joint secretary of the Cultural Ministry also. During that time also, he has done a lot of initiative, lot of innovative activities to strengthen the Cultural Ministry. And he has got a special significance for today's meeting and today's this current 20th year Silver Jubilee celebration of National P.N. Panikkar National Reading Month, Reading Day, Reading Month celebrations 2021. In fact, he is the initiator of this movement. When he was the director of middle-level IAS officer, we met our minister at the time, Mr. Dr. Sri P.J. Joseph. He was education minister at the time, and the minister was chief minister was Dr. Sri E.K. Naina. And the previous day, I met the education minister. Then I said we made a representation that Mr. Panikkar's birth anniversary, annual Remembrance Day. The first annual Remembrance Day should be observed in the state with Vayana Dinam, Reading Day, the Reading Day celebrations. Then he was telling me, Maragopal, it will go for 4 or 5 years. When your enthusiasm is will get down, it will go. But however, Mr. Jayakumar, you know him, he's a very positive IAS officer and he likes these type of activities. Anyway, you meet him and discuss with him, and I'm giving you the support and order, because orders has to go to, the bureaucratic setup. It has to go, the file has to go to different officers, and then secretary, then ministers, chief minister, etc. Then he said, tomorrow morning, you meet the DPI in his office. Then tomorrow morning, since Jayakumar, I know his positive mind. I met him by 10:30 at his DPI, Director of Administration Office at Jagati. And he said, oh, very good idea. Then he said, see how a practical IAS officer is working. He said, Balagopal, you come by 3 o'clock. Come by 3 o'clock. By 3 o'clock, when I went there by 3 o'clock, he had organized the meetings with all the office, all the officers engaged in this division. He asked them to assemble in his room. Then he talked about this, and he wanted me to talk also. Then he was telling them the need of reading and P.N. Panikkar's background, etc. Then he took all the officers into the confidence. Then he said, then bring me the file with all the notings of these things, the today's meeting, etc. Then he asked me next day, because this meeting took place on 8th of June, because 19 is the June, 19 is the day of reading. Mr. Panikkar's first annual Remembrance Day, and from the government to get a papers, positive orders from the government, that too cabinet decision is required. Then he asked me to come tomorrow by 10:30. By 10:30, all the officials of the top officials of the Directorate of Police Instruction made a noting and gave to the DPI. Then DPI made a noting, and he took in his car, in his state car. He said, Balagopal, we will go to the minister. Not minister, we will go to the secretary, because This the system should go like that. He took me to the secretary in his car. In his car, when I am moving with him, the secretary can be accessed immediately. Then we met the secretary, Leela Gangadhar, I think so. She discussed with him, he discussed with her and convinced her the need of the etc. Even though she had some different views, but he could convince the secretary and the secretary's approval was okay. Then comes to minister. Then when the ministry is also very, at that time, very positive. Then he discussed with the minister with all these issues because it's a cabinet. This has to be done on cabinet with a cabinet note, a cabinet decision. Then myself, Jaykumar sir, and then our minister, because chief minister was attending a conference at Muscat Hotel, the government hotel, at Trivandrum, the most prestigious hotel of the government of Kerala. And we went there during the sidelines of the meeting attended by the chief minister. We met him. Uh, then the chief minister was very positive. Chief minister said, okay, this is Mr. Panikar's remembrance day, and that too encouraging and as a habit of reading. That should be done. He was also very positive chief minister. He said, Mr. Joseph, go ahead. You issue the orders. Then I will ratify this in the next cabinet. You issue the orders. He was taking for then. Jagumar sir also was happy. Then it was came from secretary, from minister to secretary, and secretary to DPI, and DPI myself and Jagumar sir went to the returned to the DPI office. Then he discussed with his deputy director, deputy additional director, etc. Then he prepared the orders, and it was approved. That is greatness, because he understood the cause and the importance of this day, importance of reading, and fitting memory to Mr. Panikar. That is the need of the. I used to tell everybody that we need such IAS officers. Then only the country will prosper. Then only the poorest of the poor can react, and they can also part of this administration. I've seen this, and I've said in many of the places wherever I go, I had the chance. I used to say, such a great man. He was our the secretary, secretary. Then he for a short time he was the education secretary. Then he went to Delhi for a short time, and he served as a cultural secretary, as a cultural ministry. And then there also he had done so a lot of innovations. And then he returned to Kerala as the chief secretary, and after his successful chief secretaryship in Kerala for 2 years, he was government of Kerala was highly impressed and pleased, and he was taken to the vice chancellorship. Even before that, he was the vice chancellor of Kerala University for a short periods also. But for the first time, because Malayalam University was organized by the government of Kerala, then Dr. Jaykumar was adorned the vice chancellor with the vice chancellor of this Malayalam University. And his father is a big city maker, city director, Krishnan Nayak sir. And that tradition is also with him, because he's a writer of, he's a poet, cine, what do you call it, lyricist of cinemas, etc. And he is very closely moving with the cultural movement of Kerala. And as a vice chancellor of the Malayalam University, he has done a lot of innovative activities. And the Malayalam University of Kerala has got a lot of laurels from the other universities also. And now, based on his performance in the public sector, he has been elevated. Not elevated, he has been placed under the. He is now the director of the management in government, because he is educating, he is teaching teaching and giving training to the officials, high officials of the state government, and giving proper inputs for the management techniques also, because management is also necessary for officers to function effectively. And not only that, he is in the Kerala's cultural forefront, because all cultural fields he is very close, and he has got everywhere wherever he go, he will have an important role, and he will have a very good what you called he will have a his shadow will be there in the growth of the movement. With these words, sir, I must say, Gomar, sir, with your blessing, and you are also optimistic, but you are telling 10 days, 10 days, 20 years to go. But sir, with all your blessings and the blessings of the public and our administrators like Modi, our Chief Minister, all the Prime Ministers, all the presidents, all the Prime Ministers of the country, and Modi has taken during the 22nd reading day, reading month celebration, week celebration. He came down to Delhi, Kerala, and at Kochi, and he declared that it should be a national movement, and he made it purely national. Now we are in this celebrations. Reading month celebration is celebrated, since 2018 in all the 28 states and 9 union territories. That's the seed sown by you has grown to a big, what do you call it? Now it is a banyan tree, giving shadows and giving fruits, the fruits and giving knowledge to the underprivileged population. Really, now we are reaching the unreached, sir. 25 years of course, sir. You can be proud, sir. Yomar, sir, you can be proud because the seed sown by you has grown to this level. I'm grateful to you and grateful to the administrators of the state, the country, and our political leaders, and my colleagues like that Dr. Vignesh, NDLI, everybody is associating with me. Now the Central Board of Central Board of Secondary Education is fully with me, and the Government of India, our Modi asked me for any support. I said, no, sir, I want your leadership along with all elected MPs and MLAs of the country. And same leadership is required from cabinet secretary to panchayat secretary. When all of this bureaucracy and the democratically elected leaders are there, I don't require anything else. How it grown up now, even without a single price subscription or contribution from the Government of India, we are going ahead. We are slowly, with the people's support, we are moving ahead. I must be grateful to Dr. Our CEO, Niti Aayog CEO, Mr. Sri Amitabh Kanji also. Every year he uses circular to all government institutions, etc., to participate. And with that, we have taken this movement, and that movement has gained strength. And this year, the Prime Minister has written a very beautiful message. That message has given me more strength and courage to take this mission forward. And we are sure that by as envisaged as directed by the Prime Minister of India, we will be reaching 300 million population with the message of reading and writing by 2022, when the country celebrates our 75th year of independence. With these words, I am welcoming our honorable friend and guest, friend of PN Panikar Foundation, and today's guest, Shri Jaykumar, to this August meeting. Thank you, sir. Sir.
Please. Okay. 1 second. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Balagopal. Thank you, Mr. Balagopal, for an exaggerated version of my importance in the whole frame of things. And I thank you for inviting me to this webinar. I have a very emotional justification to be part of this process. In fact, in the last 1 week, starting from 19th, I myself must have attended nearly a dozen meetings on the web, online meetings, where several institutions have been celebrating the reading day, or rather it is now the reading week in Kerala. From 19th to 25th, several institutions are organizing very elaborate programs to commemorate this reading week. I think it is not a small achievement to get a day named after somebody who had devoted his whole life for a particular cause. As Mr. Balagopal explained in his presentation, you will wonder why I had taken so much of interest as an officer to get this proposal through. Of course, by temperament, I do support all well-meaning projects and ideas, but in Balagopal's proposal, I had something more. Because I knew Mr. Panikkar, P.N. Panikkar sir, for several years, not only after I got into the civil service, but long before I was an IAS officer. I have seen him, I have known him, I have worked with him in the sense as the secretary of my rural library. I used to sort of meet him, call him for meetings. And I'm also a library enthusiast, library activist in my earlier avatar, or rather in my life prior to my civil service days. So we had this wonderful rural library in my village, which I always consider as my early university. So Padikkar sir was the kingpin. He was the messiah. He was the prophet of the library movement in Kerala. Modern Kerala would not have been what it is today, but for the library, successful, phenomenal library movement in Kerala. And no library movement would have been successful in Kerala, but for the what is the word for that? For the totally committed, zealous missionary leadership of P.N. P.N. Padikkar sir. He deserves much more. What we are doing to him is good enough, but we can do even more. I would say that Balagopal is a very dynamic leader. He has inherited all the qualities from his father. That is why the Reading Day celebrations, which started in Kerala, which has been allowed by the government of Kerala, is today a national movement. It's not a small achievement. With his leadership and his vision, Balagopal should take it now. I think to take it to higher levels. I think now he is engrossed in the idea of popularizing digital libraries all over the country. I'm sure we'll be able to hit that mark, because libraries in India today are in a state of crisis. As a joint secretary in the Ministry of Culture some 15 years ago, or even more, maybe some 15 years ago, when I was a joint secretary, I was in charge of the library division of that ministry, looking after the National Library, Kolkata, and Rajaram Mohan Roy Library Foundation, and looking after the welfare schemes to the several public libraries in the country. So we have tried to do certain things. Subsequently, there has been the knowledge mission, library mission. I don't think these missions have really accomplished what they set out to accomplish. That doesn't mean that they were all failures. No, they did achieve something, but we have a long way to go. Because in government, what often happens is that we embark on something, we do not finish it on time. By the time you start doing it, the technology that you have started with has become obsolete, and the technology and the world has gone ahead of us, and therefore our projects and our efforts may not be as acceptable to the public as it was originally meant to be, because we in government most of the time projects overrun. Not only cost, but there is a time overrun, which in such days as we live, where everything happens so fast, the lethargic attitude of government programs could make them totally irrelevant and redundant. That must have happened to many projects of the governments, not only central government, but state governments also, towards strengthening the libraries. Not that things have not improved, things have improved, but then there is, with the kind of technology that is available today, the wonderful opportunities that digital technology provides us, the idea of digital centers or digital libraries in all the villages of this, or at least all the districts of this country, is not a small achievement. In fact, it should go even to the talukas and even to the panchayat areas, because digital access is something which is going to define our lives. Now, you see, human history can be looked in different ways. one way to look at human history is what are the kind of people or the societies that have progressed, and which are the societies, what kind of societies have stagnated. You can approach history with different dimensions. But I think one definition would be that a society which has mastered or utilized the most, what is the word, most dominant technology of a particular time. If a society could utilize or maximize the use of and utility of it, of the most dominant technology of the times, that society has been able to has become successful. For example, the small British islands, after Britain is an island, although they call themselves Great Britain, it is a relatively large island. That island country, island nation has ruled the world. Pax Britannica, as they say, although we call it colonialism, and which is true, it was an era of subjugation and exploitation. But looking from the point of view of the British, they have done very well for them. They conquered all the countries by their technology, by their knowledge. Why is it? Because the technology of the day, steam technology or whatever, they could utilize the technology in the most efficient manner. They could channelize the industrial revolution to the direction they wanted. When industrial revolution succeeded, they wanted to go places, get raw materials for their industries, for their textile mills. They came to India, looted us. All kinds of things are history. But then the point to note is that whichever society is able to utilize the technology, the dominant technology of the times, most optimistically, that society survives, that society becomes successful. Today, we have a democratizing technology in the sense the digital technology that we use today, it's the same kind of technology which is used by everyone. So technology is class neutral today. Everybody can access it. You don't require so much of capital to access this technology. This is a class neutral technology, and therefore it has made acquisition of knowledge more democratic. It has cut barriers. Although there is a digital divide in India, that is because of the very defining economic reasons and social divisions. There is a digital divide, but the technology itself is not class sensitive or money sensitive. It is actually a democratized. It has democratized the knowledge architecture. Therefore, this is a class neutral technology. We should be, whoever is able to utilize it to the best possible extent, that society survives. And India has all the potential to utilize this technology and come out of the present economic slowdown or whatever it is. Anyway, Kerala is a prime example in this area because we have the legacy of utilizing knowledge as power. For example, all the Renaissance or as we call it, the emergence of New Kerala has been a product of our engagement with knowledge, engagement with literature, engagement with the letter, as P.N. Panikkar had managed to access all kinds of knowledge, literature being written everywhere, political ideas that has become prominent in the world. That is how Kerala became a very progressive looking society. That is how Kerala became a religiously very tolerant society. That is why we have become a democratically, we have wedded ourselves to democratic values, values of human rights. We criticize others. That is because we believe in the values of democracy. So for India also, this is the right time to capitalize on this technology, which acts like a funnel to bring in all knowledge that is available across the globe today. Therefore, the success of India is going to be the success that we can make in the areas of making knowledge not freely, but as much as possible freely available to the larger number of Indian population. And it is not a difficult task. The digital idea that Shubhala Gopal is pursuing, the idea of a digital library network, I'm sure that will create wonders in the society. I'm sure Government of India will appreciate the great potential of this idea. It is better that it is not done as a purely government program, but it is better if it is done as a popular movement. As a popular movement. Government should be there, government's participation should be there, participation of the local bodies should be there, participation of civil society should be there, participation of major industrialists should be there, all the corporate social responsibility could be channelized into it. In another 2 to 3 years, we could create a digital library architecture in India, which will transform the society, which will transform the way our ordinary people think, which will transform the access to knowledge, which is the capital of today's world. Today's world, capital in today's world is not money or land or technology, but rather it is the knowledge that is driving the economy today. That is why we call ourselves a knowledge economy. Now, Kerala actually is now in a particular stage where we are poised to take off if we can do well in the dissemination of digital knowledge. For India also, although in India there are other states which yet have to cross a lot of space, cover a lot of areas in the area of education. But there are people who have already educated, and we can educate more and more people along with the literacy movement, with the new education policy, which is harping on literacy and numeracy. I think it should be a whole composite package by which, in the next 5 years, we should transform the knowledge quotient of the Indian society through digital network or digital library network. I have the good fortune to be the president of a library network, which is called DELNet, Developing Knowledge Network, Learning Network, DELNet, uh, which is based in Delhi. Uh, what they actually do is networking all the libraries and create a huge database of knowledge that is available in the various domains of knowledge, like engineering, medical, or architecture, or paramedical sciences, or management sciences, or history, or whatever it is. Whatever is available in the digital world, this particular organization called DELNet, Developing Library Networks, they sort of access it. They buy which is purchasable or which is meant for to be purchased. They access free resources, combine it, keep it, and organize it in a particular fashion. As a result, any library, any institution who is a member of this DELNet, at a very modest membership fee, we are able to provide any kind of digital material that is available in the world with our huge database. Now, DELNet is going to access the schools and providing them digital library support. So why I mention this is because that is a good model. Of course, that is an institutional network model. We can have larger number of rural library networking model. It would be good if the technological platform and all of the technical details of DELNet is studied at a greater detail, because it gives some kind of a very, very intimate idea as to how we can develop this. We can upscale that model. So I'm sure I'm giving these ideas to Mr. Balagopal so that he is not overwhelmed by or rather he is not distracted, or he doesn't go back by seeing the enormity of this. I'm sure he will not go back. He will only go forward, because his DNA is a DNA which helps him only to go forward. So you go forward, and this is only one of the suggestions I could make. The DELNet is a good example where I think around 18,000 institutions, I don't remember it, institutions have been networked to provide knowledge, any kind of knowledge at any level. If it is a research journal of the highest standard, yes, we have. They can access it for a nominal fees. We can work on these models. And if there is a national will, in the next 5 years, Kerala, India, with all its limitations about educational attainments and illiteracy, some poverty, all these, we have all the problems. But that doesn't mean that we should not dream high. The next 5 years, I'm sure if the digital library network comes into operation, India could transform itself very soon into a major intellectual hub of the world, as well as it will unlock this particular access to knowledge. It will unlock the great potential of the Indian people. When I say Indian people, I'm not talking only about the sophisticated, urban, civilized, urban middle class. No, I'm not talking about the intelligentsia. I'm not talking about the academia. I'm not talking about civil servants like me or such people. No, not at all. I'm not talking about highly educated people. I'm talking about very ordinary people in our rural hinterland, in our villages, in our small towns, who want to come up in life, who have a lot of things to offer. They only want a small fillip. Maybe accessing one particular site may change their entire lives. Simultaneously, there should be efforts to create digital content in the local languages. Local language digital content is a very defining parameter by which democratization of knowledge can be taken to a next level. If we confine only with the English content of the digital resources, that means we are again warding off, or rather keeping away, a large chunk of the Indian population who may not be comfortable with English. So therefore, or creating digital content in the regional languages is very important. At the same time, even with regional languages, some people may not be able to read and write. They may not be able to read what appears on the screen on the internet. Then they should also be supported with audio content. Audio content in the local language. I'm sure that is going to unlock a great potential of the Indian people, and that is how India is going to come up in the horizon in the community of nations as the most as one of the countries which has utilized to the fullest extent possible the potential of the dominant technology of the times. We should not be frightened by the fact that look, our literacy is not high, our peasants are not, our agriculture people are not, farmers are not educated. How do we access them? There is a way to access. Technology provides all the answers, even for disabled people, people who are blind. They can be given the audio support. People who are deaf could be given the video support. You see, so this technology is not only class neutral, it is it is neutral on all fronts. It is the most democratic technology I think we have ever invented. If we do not utilize it properly for the transformation of the society, it would be a unforgivable lapse on the part of people who have thought about these things. I'm sure, Mr. Balagopal, with all your colleagues, you should take this forward. Now, before I conclude, I would also like to sound a note of caution. That is, today, after in the post-COVID, when the COVID pandemic is still with us, and our schools and colleges are closed, remain closed, still we manage by offering classes online or on the mobile platform or on the laptop. We are trying. I think that is all that could be done. There are limitations. There are criticisms about the content, about the digital divide. Poorer people are not able to access as much as the richer people. The urban middle class sitting, they are able to. Their children are able to access this kind of platform far more effectively than the rural people whose parents are backward, whose parents are not educated, whose parents are not tech savvy. So this is creating a digital content, we can always say. But at the same time, this is happening, and sooner or later, our children, regardless of the background they are, they will discover how to utilize our mobile phones far more effectively than the pampered, affluent people. That is one of my hopes. Now, coming to another subject, any technology has two edges, as we say in Malayalam. It's a sword with two sides, sharp on both sides. It cut both ways. Therefore, any technology, when films were released earlier in the earlier part of 20th century, people thought that watching films is a very bad habit. So parents used to discourage their children from watching films. My father was a film director. He was dissuaded by the parents so much that he finally became a film director. So if you stop somebody from doing something, he will do it and become addicted to it. Likewise, when films were released, that was it. When television came, we were afraid that people are going to get addicted to television. When internet came, we were afraid that people are going to get addicted to internet, and they will be sort of surfing all the kinds of sites, and they are going to be ruined. And when the mobile phones came, also people were scared that children are going to be sort of sidetracked, or they are going to be distracted by this mobile telephony. Of course, there are people who are distracted. That is the point I wanted to say, and also sound a note of reassurance. Today, the first generation users of our mobile phone, even we are also first generation users because this became popular only by 90s or so. Before that, we did not have the mobile phone. So we are all first time users or the first generation users. First generation users of this technology, as versatile as mobile telephony, have this problem of misutilizing it or using it for the wrong purposes, because wrong purposes attract you more than the right purposes. But that is only, we should keep it in mind that the attraction of the wrong purpose is only the inbuilt vasanas, as we say. It will go away after a while. In a way, the corona-induced online teaching methodology, the teaching habits is going to help, because that will also tell the students that your mobile phone is not only an instrument which can take away all your time by unnecessary chatting, unnecessary sending messages upward and downward, or whatever it is, sharing stupid messages and spreading venom, spreading all kinds of rumors, there is a use much far more noble than all your petty uses of this telephone. That is one lesson that this corona-induced uh, limitations have taught us. Earlier, some parents used to say that, oh, I will not give my mobile phone to my son because or daughter, he is going to misuse it. I had a relative of mine who came here on a holiday. So she had a daughter studying for BTech. So this relative girl of mine, she's very adamant. She says, no, no, I asked the girl, do you have a mobile phone? What is your number? So the mother jumps in and says, no, 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 she cannot have a mobile phone. I will never give her. I said, why? She is going to a distant college. She might maybe she must be delayed coming home. If she wants to contact you, what will you do? If the bus breaks down, what will she do? No, 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 nothing will happen, but no mobile phone. In fact, she refused to talk to me for a year because I recommended strongly that mobile phone should be given to the daughter who is doing her BTech in those days. I think now it is nearly 4 years. I don't know whether I think she finally got one. No, there are parents like that who have very wrong ideas about the new technology. Of course, there is an element of misuse. Now, of course, that misuse graph might come down, I hope, because we have proven even parents are also involved in the mobile use of their children while they are attending the classes. Therefore, there is nothing wrong and there is no kind of secrecy attached to the use of mobile phone. Mobile phone is a very versatile instrument. On your laptop also you can access. Likewise, the these corona difficulties is also creating in us a new understanding or a new recognition or a new realization of the possibilities of the digital technology. Digital technology is not only meant to steal your time and to sort of keep you engrossed for abusing this medium. We must have abused a little bit, it doesn't matter. Every technology gets abused in the initial years. This is the time to discard all the illicit use of this technology and rather consider it as a wonderful medium that can open the magic doors into the heaven of knowledge. And that knowledge is surging there like a great ocean, like the Pacific Ocean, endless. There is any kind of knowledge is available because searching knowledge, accessing knowledge has become so easy. I have one more thing to tell the students who are attending this. In fact, this I have been repeating to all the schools and the colleges where I participated online for online meetings in the last couple of days. That is, we have this habit of, at least certain students have the habit of reading only the textbooks. If you say that go and read something, they'll go and read textbooks at best. Most of the time, they may not read anything. So, so uh, now reading the textbook is not the only thing. This medium opens a whole world of literature and knowledge right there. On a click of your fingers, you can access everything. Get yourself trained as to how to access knowledge and information on this medium. I think that is also part of the training. Now, Mr. Balagopal, I would like to come back to you before I conclude. Uh, the proposal or the idea of having digital libraries all over the country is, I think, uh, it's a very fortunate idea, which we should cling on to this idea till it is materialized, because it is going to change the destiny of this country. Maybe people have not recognized its great potential. When Mr. P.N. Panikkar started traveling to the remotest villages of Kerala, going and pleading with people, saying that give me a small room, we will have an almara, we will buy a few books and keep, and subscribe to a couple of newspapers where your young people can come and read in the evenings. I'm sure he also must have been ridiculed by many conservative people in those days. But he did not go back. He pursued the idea. Nobody understood the great potential of this small room, which he called a library. Slowly, slowly, libraries became big. Now today there is a library council and government is funding it. Government is funding to purchase newspapers. People are flocking to these centers. And in Kerala gives you a very lot of sense of pride because people still go to libraries. And we are transacting in knowledge. A small seed that was planted in the mind of a visionary like P.N. Panikkar has today grown into a huge people tree, isn't it? Likewise, this seed of digital the knowledge networks is going to transform the entire knowledge landscape of not only our academic institutions, but of the rural landscape of India. Our farmers who are illiterate are going to donate, are going to contribute so much to the well-being and welfare of this country. We are going to, after all, knowledge is the only tool by which we can eliminate our poverty. Because through knowledge we can create wealth, and this wealth will create situations by which there is no poverty and unemployment in this country. You are carrying a magical seed within you. We only have to tell and convince the governments the importance of this. Be convinced about it. Invoke your father's memory. You will be able to do wonders. Let us transform. This is a God-given opportunity to do a great transformative work in India, the country that we belong. And I'm sure the the Readers' Day, Reading Day celebrations is acquiring momentum year after year. Earlier it was one day, now it is a week. And another landmark in our career and in our lives should be, before we kick our bucket, should be to see that the Readers' Day, Reading Day is not only accepted today, it is accepted nationwide. But I'll be happy if the Secretary General of the United Nations place it before the General Assembly of the UN, before that places before the Security Council or whatever and the decision-making bodies, and comes out with an announcement saying that June 19th will be declared as an International Reading Day. I'm sure that day is not far off. That we will live to see that day being celebrated all over the world, when Mr. Panikkar will smile on us, will bless us from whatever domain his spirit abides. Thank you very much. Wish you all success. Let us be the change that we wish to see, and let us be the harbingers of this change. Let us be the instruments of this change. Let us sow the seeds of a great revolution, great intellectual revolution in this country. And I'm sure Readers' Day, Reading Day, has given us this wonderful opportunity to begin these lines. With these few words, not so few words, I will conclude. I wish you all the best. I thank all the participants, listeners, for their patience in bearing with me. Thank you very much. If there are questions, I will take a couple of questions. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. Your small initiative way back when you were the director of public instructions. Now it has come to a reading month celebrations across the country, and as you rightly pointed out, sir, uh, be it school children or be it the college-going youths. So this is my first personal question before others put in their questions. Uh, so the question is like, even I have been facing a lot of questions from the students as well as from the faculty members. So I'm part of the National Digital Library of India. We have over 7.2 crore resources in our repository, which is completely free of cost. Out of 7.2 crore resources, 5.2 crore resources are completely free of cost. But even then, students and the faculty members come back and say like, we want only this textbook. Do you have it in your library? And I will read only that book. I will not read anything beyond this. So I'm still like trying to understand, where is this question of reading one particular author comes in, and how do we address this question, sir?
Uh, I have been in the academic field for a while because I was Secretary Education. Then I spent 5 years in my own university, as the Malayalam University. So I know how the academic field works, academic world works. The whole malady is not with our knowledge or your network or your repertoire or whatever it is, but the whole malady is in the classroom. The whole malady starts with class 1 or even LKG. How a student is trained to approach his knowledge, how a student is trained to look into what he is doing in the classroom. Every teacher, whether it is a government school or a CBSE or ICSE school, whether it is an ordinary village school or an affluent school, whatever it is, regardless of the stature of the school, teachers mostly, I should not say all of them, but 95% teachers, uh, unfortunately, are interested, and not wrongly, rightly so, interested to see that their student gets as much mark as possible. Their student is able to secure the best grades possible. And at a school level, institution level, every teacher, every headmaster, every principal only wants as many A grades as possible so that the glory of their school is established vis-a-vis his peers, his competitors. But we are doing a great disservice in our constant engagement with the A plus and the results and all that. You disallow the student to to pursue his imagination. Every hour that he spends on an extra reading, unless it is related to a project, the teacher is not very comfortable. Why are you wasting time reading this stupid novel? Even today, even today, there are parents and teachers who say this, unfortunately, without realizing that every moment that the student is reading something else, he is refining his skill of knowledge acquisition with far more passion than what he does with the textbook. He approaches the textbook with a purpose. He has to learn and answer a question. Whereas he reads a short story, he reads a poem, he reads a novel out of his zest and passion. And that creates a mental framework in his mind by which he approaches knowledge with a different orientation. So your disappointment is understandable. I was also part of the knowledge mission when it started, 2007 or something. But then we have to sort of tie up with the educational institutions. Educational institutions. In fact, today, this morning, I spoke to a school where the teachers were very friendly and all that. I know the school even earlier, but I told them I have something very uncharitable to tell you. Every school in Kerala has a wonderful library, maybe 5,000 books, 7,000 books, 10,000 books, or even more. But all these books are as, what should I say, as untouched by human hand as they were initially, because the school librarian doesn't open the library. Even if it is open, he doesn't issue the books. Why? Because the headmaster has told him, don't issue the books, they will spoil the books. Okay. Now, if the books are lost, I will be held accountable when my pension papers are being processed. In fact, when I was DPI, I remember to have issued an order saying that if 5% of your books are not damaged, I will hold you accountable. And we will not hold you accountable if 5 or 10% of the books are lost and damaged. Government can afford the luxury of losing these books, but please open the library to the students. So we do everything ritualistically. You have so much of material, digital material, but nobody wants it. Everybody wants the quick way out. As earlier, we used to read guides, guides, question answers. You read this question, this is the answer. Nobody reads the original. Likewise, that is a very limiting phenomenon that has crept into our education system, unless not only school system, but college system even more. Colleges, people become even more lazy. They want the pill type of information. Give me in capsule form, I'll take it. I think that won't help. The zest to know more. I always tell that every teacher should encourage his or her student to go beyond the curriculum, beyond the syllabus. Syllabus is only part of a larger unit. It is a subset of a big set, isn't it? A syllabus, a class lesson is the subset of a larger this thing. But nobody is bothered about that. People are transfixed in this small micro set and thinking that whatever I do within this micro set is the most important. No, no. You read a poem, you know that it belongs to larger literature. So you have to always transcend the boundaries of your textbook, which is what education department today has to do. And I think that has to come from the top. That has to come from the top. And there should be some kind of an incentive system by which extra reading has to be given as much importance as your examination results. So your problem is very genuine. I can understand that, but it doesn't have any immediate remedy. It is a structural problem. It is an emotional problem. It is a pathological problem. It's a psychological problem.
Brilliantly said, sir. So there are a couple of questions that have already come in. One is from Ms. Nita. Her question is, how school libraries can contribute towards development of literary skills of younger generation?
That is a question which we indirectly answered
Yeah.
by encouraging every student to take a book, not only to take a book and carry home and bring it back, but read it and come back and share with the children, share with the teacher. The teacher should also take a very active interest. Teacher should also be an example to the student. Teacher should also be seen as reading. How many teachers spend time in reading extra reading? How many teachers are really interested in reading something literary or scientific? Very few, very few. So we don't have time because 8 o'clock I have to start from home. I have to go back, cook for my husband and all that. All kinds of things are there. So unless the teacher demonstrates that it is very important to read extra, to read other things than your syllabus, the student is not going to be convinced. However, you may tell repeatedly in the classroom, go and take your library book. She'll go and take the library book, put it in your bag and take home and bring it back on Monday, saying that, sir, I have read it. Mrs. can't read, nothing will happen. Keep it a culture. Keep a culture of reading. And if somebody has read something wonderful, give that boy or a girl an opportunity to present it in the classroom. Tell them what you have understood. What is it that fascinated you? Spend 15 minutes every week, half an hour every week, so that the student who reads well gets the kind of recognition, and it makes others also feel like I should also read. It doesn't happen in a day. It is a kind of culture that we have to emulate. So, Madam Geeta has asked this question. Geeta should go back and demonstrate that it is important to read. The teacher should be seen with an extra book in her hand all the time. Not the notebooks, but something different.
One last question, sir. The world is changing. This question is from Miss Deepa Das, and it's more of a comment. World is changing, and we need to step into the changing technology. And children are more knowledgeable these days. Without the device, it's impossible. And how do we convince the parents to like encourage these children to use, or at least give these devices to access knowledge? So that is a question.
No, I think I have briefly touched this when in my talk. I said COVID also has given us indirectly some benefits. Unwittingly, COVID never meant to give us any benefit, but then we have derived certain benefits. Had it not been for this pandemic, our inhibition about our students, youngsters, particularly in schools and early colleges, our inhibition about giving them free access to mobile phone, which is something there were conservative parents who would shudder at the thought of it. But today it has unlocked that fear has gone. It has to go. There is no point in keeping the children away from a technology which has the potential of being misused. That is it. It's a fear of the potential of being misused which keeps you away from the technology. I think there is nothing more stupid than that. If a student knows that this technology can be abused, before you discover he would have abused and got away with it. Be very sure about it. You cannot stop your young people from discovering the most forbidden aspects of this technology. Don't be fooled by your injunctions. Allow him to use it freely. Allow him to use it freely. Let him become a master. In fact, they are very, 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 very adept at using this technology. So slowly sort of persuade them to use it for the proper purpose openly. Now that is what is being done. Now he will come up with the idea saying that, sir, I can access this site and get this. Allow him to freely use it rather than use it with an apology. Not at all. Don't be apologetic about this technology. Every technology has its own problems. More so about this technology. And trust our younger people. Trust our younger people. Were we not trustworthy when we were 15 years old? Do you think that we were untrustworthy? No. Our parents may not have trusted us. That our teachers may not have trusted us, but we know that we were trustworthy, isn't it? Trust begets trust. Mistrust begets mistrust. Don't mistrust our children. Trust them. Let them do a little bit trespassing. Allow them. They'll come back. They are not going to be spoiled by one day of abusing this technology. I'm not saying that you promote it, but I'm saying that don't get obsessively upset by the fact that I left my mobile phone at home. The boy is alone there. Will he misuse it? Let him misuse a little bit. He will come back. Trust him. Trust begets trust. It is the biggest disadvantage that we are doing today is mistrusting our young people. Don't mistrust them. Trust them. They will come up wonderfully so. They are far more superior human beings than we were in our age. That is what I think. I have great trust in these people. In fact, I'll tell you one more thing. When I was Vice Chancellor of this Malayalam University, it was a campus which we newly created. There are a few casuarina trees here and there, not very pleasant looking. So I created a small seats all around with with the granite and all that. Then I told the students in a meeting, very informal meeting, I said, this is the place where if you want to sort of, indulgence, loose talk, a little bit of flirting and all that, this is the time in open daylight, not in the backyard. Okay. So the university is providing you spaces, open spaces, where you can openly flirt. This is not something to be ashamed of. At this particular age, you would like to pair off with a girl, with a boy, and you chat. I'm not going to stop it. But then do it openly. Do it openly. And with the kind of, decorum. With the kind of decorum. From my room, I knew all these spaces, where I could do. And I think they literally obeyed it. Trust our children. They are very trustworthy. They are wonderful people.
Brilliant example, sir. So one final question. This question is from Miss Vandana Sahi. This question I have been seeing in many of the forums also. So her question is, the students are already overburdened with their chapters in the textbooks, and how do we still motivate them for reading like other books? That's the question, sir.
Yeah, and it's a very pragmatic, realistic question. The kind of load that we have given them is so much that practically there is little time left for them. They're so weary towards the end of the day. They get up early, go for tuitions or whatever. They go early to the school, then come back at tuitions, classwork, all kinds of things. And to ask them to read again, you don't feel like there is no spare time. I think the new education policy also talks about lightening the burden of your syllabus. That is one thing. There might be second opinions about it. In higher classes, is it worthwhile to reduce the burden? But the thing is, it is not the curricular load that is burdening the student. Let me make that point very clear. It is not the load of the curriculum that is burdening the student, but it is the approach, it is the methodology that particular schools adopt in getting the best out of these children, or in the hope that making him do this work, this project, this assignment is going to make a better student of him, so that he is a plus material. I think this engagement with the curriculum on a very extended scale, by which his spare time is reduced to the minimum, is not a problem with the curriculum or syllabus, but it is the way we have interpreted how his time should be utilized. The schools have to introspect. It is the schools that is burdening the student, not the curriculum. Reduce it, reduce the load, and also include extra reading as part of his, homework. It should be part of his work. He will do it very enjoyably, very joyfully. Now we sort of burden with all kinds of things. He has hardly any time. By the time it's 9 o'clock, he becomes so tired and he goes to bed. I think we have to relook at it. There is nothing to worry about that. We can definitely redo it.
Thank you so much, sir. It was an amazing session, and especially the interaction part was like mind blowing. You gave real life example of how to create interest among the children, and how do we trust our own young generation. With this, I would like to thank you for taking out time from your schedule and being part of us with
Thank
us.
you.
And now I request Balagopalji to propose the vote of thanks. Over to Balagopalji.
Kumar sir,
Ah.
it was a fantastic session. In fact, we enjoyed and we learned so many things. And you are that we must have, we are taking it as a missionary spirit. The same spirit Mr. P.N. Panikar has inherited to us. The missionary spirit, we are with the money. When the Prime Minister, I presented this case before the Prime Minister, then Prime Minister asked me, Balgopalji, from where are you getting the resources? I said, you give us the umbrella support. So you kindly give us the umbrella support. We will manage the resources. And P.N. Panikar Foundation is only a catalyst. We can mobilize resources like the P.N. Panikar had done to build up his library movement. We can manage resources. Now the MP-led fund is not there, but it's coming again. MP-led fund, MLA-led fund, and the philanthropist, and now it is CSR funds, etc. And not only that, and it is a pupils library. This the three libraries, three PCs, personal computers with internet connectivity, etc., and other accessories, paraphernalia. It can be arranged in a single room that can be hired in the initial stages, and that can be managed. And that's this entire thing. The operational cost will be can be funded from collectors' account. District collectors are empowered. They have got sufficient money, and with that money, they can make it as a reality. Not only that, public, they are ready to support these activities. So he was also very happy. Then go ahead with this. Partnering with the National Digital Library, and Dr. Vignesh is one of my very resourceful colleague, and Professor Das and Chakrabarti and all others in this digital library movement, and the Ministry, of course, the Ministry of Higher Education, Higher Education, etc., is fully supporting me. And with this, when blessings like you, the blessings from people like you, and we can make it as a reality by 2025. And there is a target for that also. By 2025, when the country celebrates its 75th year of Republic, We can, sir. We will, sir. We will establish in all the 207 lakhs panchayats. With the blessings of all of you, we are going ahead. We are marching ahead to reach the target, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for coming and giving much of your time for this novel scheme, novel ideas. And you have come out with very, very novel ideas, very, very innovative ideas. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And looking
Thank you
after
very
your
much.
continued support for the future years also, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vignesh, also for conducting the program so well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Balagopalji. And thanks all the participants. We have few housekeeping announcements for this session. So tomorrow, so I've already shared the feedback form URL and the registration URL for this session. Kindly submit your feedback form. In case if you have not yet registered for this webinar, you will not be able to like submit your feedback form. First register yourself and then submit your feedback form, then you can download the certificate. And sorry, yesterday there was a mistake in the certificate of participation, so we have fixed, our technical team has fixed that error. So now you can re-download the certificate and keep it with you. So that we have already changed, so you can re-download the certificate again with the updated date and the partners list. And also tomorrow we have a session on the National Digital Library of India user awareness. So that will be conducted by myself only, so you can join, you can register for that session. So I have just shared the registration form URL here. And also I humbly request you to install the NDLI mobile app so that it will be helpful for you to understand what I'm saying tomorrow during the session. And that's it. If you have any uh, like issue in the certificate or anything, you can send an email to our official email ID. We'll be happy to respond to your questions. So see you tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow in the session. Thank you and bye.